Show recording begins right now. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Transformations, straight talk about life, business, and spirituality. I'm Rick, and here is Carly right next to me. Hey, how are you, Carly?
I'm doing fabulous. I swear, one of these days we're going to have an outro and an intro of our antics before we go live.
Yeah, today was funny. Today was actually funny. But we got it. We got it working. So, Carly, what are we talking about today?
So today we're going to be talking about who defines you. And we're going to tie that in with talking about how we build these prisons around ourselves. And it's kind of what I call self-imposed prisons. And we're also going to be talking about gut intuition versus heart intuition. And then we're going to be talking about waking up every day with the mentality of that today is a new day. And that all comes back to who defines you, because all those things, in my point of view anyway, is that they're all interrelated.
They are. So, who does define us?
Very interesting question. And that's kind of the whole principalities behind who defines us is the reality of society. We grow up with a certain mom, a certain dad, a family, our circle of friends, the circle of family friends. And unfortunately, a lot of people allow society or family members or bullying or any sort of those things actually define them.
Well, it's easier. It's easy.
It's true. I mean, we get wrapped up in worrying about what other people think about us. We get worried about what our friends are going to think about us, our mates, our coworkers. And that's why I have the beautiful image of, and for me it's a beautiful image because the bottom of the houses, and I grew up like this, by the way, in South America, all the houses had bars on them. Like literally, the whole bottom of the houses had bars, even if you had a compound wall around your house. So this image really stood out for me because having grown up with bars on windows like that, and then above on the second story, you didn't have that. And to me, that really defines the freedom and the prisons that we create within ourselves. So you see the image of the lady in the window. She's reading, the window's open, there's fresh air flowing in and out. And the images down below, the first story of the house, are these bars. And we have a choice in life. Do we want to be in this prison and literally never leave our homes or never socialize with people because of we're worried we're not pretty enough, we have too much weight on us, we have a scar, or whatever our worry is about ourselves, we don't speak eloquently enough, we don't have enough education. All these things, we can choose to live below with the bars or step out into the world and be ourselves.
Yeah, in essence, we carry everybody else's burden.
We do. It's like the monkey, the old verbiage that people say, the monkey on the back. We carry our children's worries. We carry cross-generational worries. People that have had parents die in camps, concentration camps, or wherever those, it's weird, but we carry that energy forward generation after generation after generation. No different than a lot of abuse cycle happens. Your parents got abused, they were beat up, or whipped, or had sexual abuse or whatever type of abuse they went through. They have children, and what do? They perpetuate what they knew. They knew no different, therefore they perpetuated the cycle. Until somebody chooses to have the awareness to learn a new way, can the cycle be broken?
Well, also part of it is, as you go through school, as you get imprinting, you are, to a certain point, conditioned to not be yourself. That's part of the problem. You're conditioned to follow versus lead. In fact, if you think about it, look at all the kids who are on Ritalin right now or Adderall or whatever they're on. They're not all ADHD. That's a lot of BS. They're there because they have energy. Think about it maybe this way. Maybe those are the leaders who have just a lot more energy than the normal kids who just sit there. And so what they're doing is we're calming down our maybe possible leaders.
And it's interesting that you bring that up because I actually just created a quote pick today about collaborative leadership. So you'll find that on my Facebook wall. I just put it up right before our show. And you've seen my other one I did on leadership. And it's true. Our society and our schooling system right now is how do we teach? Memorize this paragraph, memorize this quote, memorize this, memorize. It's literally thrown up, if you will. They're actually just throwing up what they've actually been taught. They've ingested something that's not even them, and they're just repeating what they're being told to do. Versus the other schools like the Waldorf schools, the Montessori schools, and all the new thought schools, some actually really amazing new charter schools are coming out with new ways of teaching, allowing a child to develop its own voice, its own interests, and even at a very early age, let's say their passion is photography. They'll actually let them go to some place to do an internship, if you will, on photography, learning everything from how to use the cameras, how to develop the film, and from a very early on age of also teaching them the economics behind that. They actually talk about money and marketing and everything. And I love those new programs that are coming out so that they're being able to learn that they can be an individual. They can be unique. They're not trapped in this prison, if you will, of the school system telling them exactly who to be, what to say, when to eat, when they can play. All these, it's just basically creating little soldiers.
Well, it's interesting because in a lot of systems around the world, for example, some European systems, I know in South America, a lot of the school systems, when you get into high school, you have a choice of anywhere from 3 to 5 different kinds of high schools. For example, you may go into a technical high school. You may go into an arts one. You may go into a business one. So as your interests are in those areas, you would go to a school that fits your interest. Another thing that I find really interesting, when you go to school here, especially when you graduate high school, you have absolutely no knowledge of anything because they haven't taught you anything. So then you go to college and relearn what you learned in high school. What a waste of time. Whereas most kids around the world, by high school, they've got a bachelor's degree.
It's true. When I grew up overseas, and then I moved back here, and when I was a senior in high school, half of my day I was someplace else. I was getting my certification in my CNA. So I was getting my nurse's aide certification, and I was doing some charity work with hospice. And a lot of these schools now, especially when you get to be a junior or senior, once you get a little more defined as to what you want to do, there are kids now that 2 years out of high school are already having their LPN,
right,
or their RN in nursing. And like you said, there's trade schools. A lot of people, especially the kids nowadays, they kind of know. I mean, at an earlier age what your passion is. And that is giving them the tools to go explore that, to see that really is their passion. And if they do decide that's their passion, why not start them early on in their junior and senior years and having that hands-on experience? Because all the book learning in the world does not prepare you for actual real-time experience in that field.
No, though I do have a fear that a lot of our kids are not being taught any passion at all. They don't have any passions other than reading vampire novels, watching movies, and being completely stimulated at all times. And that's part of the parent problem, where the first thing they do is put them in front of a TV for 8 hours a day. Here's your babysitter. Sit down, be quiet, shut up, and don't cause any problems. Oh, by the way, you've moved. Let me give you some Ritalin because you shouldn't move. That's kind of what's going on. And that's fostered by the doctors, by the pharma. Oh, well, your kid had a thought the other day. Let's give him some Ritalin. We need to calm that down. And really, that's really a shame. I don't have a problem with Ritalin other than it's overdosed and it's used in cases where you don't even need it. So I think that's part of the issue. We're not creating, at least in the States, and actually probably worldwide in a lot of cases right now, a lot of kids with interest. There are some escape through the their spirit and personality is a little stronger and they get through. But look how many kids just sit there going, yeah, I don't know, I don't care, whatever is a good word. You hear that a lot. it is interesting. So in essence, they're not even imprinted with, who they are. They don't even know who they are. They don't even care, some of them. So those are issues. Those are definitely issues for society, not to mention for those poor souls who are just going through life, whatever.
Well, it's funny you brought up the words whatever. Someone on Facebook the other day, there was a quote about using the word fine. People ask you, how are you doing? Fine.
Yeah.
How are you? Fine. And the balance of that, some people are like, well, if I'm having a crappy day, do I tell someone I'm having a crappy day? Well, to me, isn't there a better word? There really is no right, wrong. I find myself now looking for a different word besides fine, because fine is kind of this wishy-washy, I'm not really okay, and I'm sort of okay, versus, let's say you're not having a great day, and if someone asks you how you're doing, you're going to say, I'm having a challenging day, except and then add to that the positivity. You don't need to get into why you're having a crappy day, or that you're depressed, or you're going through whatever. But you can say, I've had better days, and tomorrow I have a brand new day. Or take another way of using it and spinning it so that you're not leaving someone with, oh, you're just a pessimist, and being honest about, well, I'm having a few challenges today, but that's okay. Tomorrow I'll have a better day. There are other words to use besides whatever, I don't know.
Fine. Well, those are non-answers. Those are basically non-answers. They're just trying to get you off their back. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone. I'm fine. I'm whatever. Yeah, And it's basically telling you, I don't know, I don't care, and neither do you. It's very fatalistic.
It is. And I want to go back to something you said about parenting. Mm-hmm. Back in the 80s, I ran a preschool called Learning, Playing, and Growing Incorporated. And that's why everyone knows why I use the terminology all the time of learn, play, grow. And here's the thing. You got to remember, in today's society, we have a society of both parents working full-time and then also having children. And at some point, something's going to break. And so my experience of running a preschool for 3 years out of my home, and what I found very, very fascinating is all my parents commuted to New York City. These kids were weekend children. So they'd be dropped off anywhere from 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning. And by the time the parents would pick them up, it wouldn't be till 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And when they get these kids home, all they want to do is feed them and throw them in bed. Mm-hmm. So there's really no engagement with their children.
Right.
And then come the weekend, the kids want attention. They want mommy and daddy time. They want some love and attention. But the parents are so exhausted from working all that week long, they want to catch up on their own lives. They want to catch up on the household, whether it be errands, laundry, just anything, right? And so, again, the same thing happens. Weekend comes, and instead of spending some quality time with their children, they do. They plop them in front of the TV. They let them play ad nauseum computer games. And, again, and they do the bartering system of, well, if you do this, I'll give you this. If you shut up, I'll give you this. Have this cookie. And that's why we have another epidemic of obesity. We feed our children instead of talking to them. When they're not acting out, the tantrums, they give them whatever the kid wants so they don't have to deal with the tantrum.
Right.
Instead of finding ways of, let's say, economically, they feel like they have to have two people working. How about one parent working full-time, the other one working half-time, or working out of the home, and the cost of which you'd have the child in daycare, creating something else. I started creating circles of groups of families where they would actually take every night, a different family would take the kids. So every couple had a date night. They would do the same thing on weekends. Every weekend they would alternate weekends who would have the kids. So they'd almost have like a mini daycare on weekends or one night a week. However, they're giving each couple time to really be alone, also have time. They would create other ways of just having quality time with their kids. But there's a massive amount of creative ways to still have income coming in, have a parent at least be home half of the time. And I understand as a female, it's really, really hard to be around children 24/7 because I did it for a very long time. And also wanting or yearning to have a life outside of talking baby talk or outside of talking just to children. It's very nerve-wracking to be around children 24/7, especially if they're all, very, very young. You do want some adult time. You do want some me time. I just think we haven't gotten creative enough on ways to achieve that. And that is why I personally love the collaborative communities or what we call tribe energy. When you're in a tribe, or you have a group, a circle of friends, you can help support each other. You can help take care of each other's kids. In a tribe, someone always knows when something's wrong with someone. And families, half the time, we're clueless that a kid's depressed. We're clueless he's being bullied. Now, if you're in a community, you don't think somebody in that community would know that that child's being bullied or that child's depressed?
But I think that goes down to another issue. Parents have trophy kids. They don't have children. They have possessions. And their kids are no more than just another possession. There's a lot of parents who do that. Unfortunately, having a kid isn't a right. It's a responsibility. And a lot of parents just go, oh, I had an argument, we're getting a divorce. You don't do that. You have a kid. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that, you know, we have no responsibility in our society right now. And that is a real issue with the kids. We have a lot of breakup in families. That causes major break. They've done studies. They did a major one in Sweden, I believe, about 10 years ago, where they were looking at the effects of divorce on children. These effects were lasting through their 50s, 60s, throughout the whole life. In other words, we're breaking the societal structure down big time. So that's one thing that caused an issue. Then on the other hand, you have the issue where the family itself causes a lot of grief to a kid. You've got abuse, you've got all sorts of other issues, and you've got neglect. So, yeah, don't have so many kids. If you want to have a kid, then be responsible about having a kid. Otherwise, don't, because you're not doing anybody any favors, and you're definitely not doing the child a favor. And if you think the TV is a good replacement for you, think again. Throw the TV out. You'd probably be better off.
Well, that goes to, I always teach my clients, and the funny part is about having computers in your room or having TVs in your room, being subliminally programmed. Children should not have computers in their bedrooms. Right. They should not have TVs in their bedroom. Create a space outside of their room where they can be on computer time or they can have some TV time. And this goes back to what you were saying, though. As a society, we have this ideology, or we're given the if I have the house with the picket fence and I have the dog and the cat and I have my 2.2 children, then I've achieved the American dream. Why do we need to feel that, and that goes back to who defines us? Does the fact that we have the 4,000 square foot house and the Jaguar and the dog and the cat and the trophy wife, like you say, or trophy children make you the epitome of what an American family is supposed to be? I mean, do you really want to allow society to define you that much, where it's telling you how many children you need to have, what school they need to go to? They need to get into Harvard, they need to go to Columbia, they need to have be a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever. Or do you want your children and teach your children to be creative enough that to teach them that they can do whatever they want to do, achieve their passions through teaching them creative means? They're teaching them collaborative efforts. And if we teach them teamwork and collaboration and JV, joint ventures, they can be people that can work from their homes. Sure. They can do things, create businesses from the internet. There's so many different ways of creating a life where you can still be nurturing your children, still have me time, and still have some sort of job that creates a lucrative. Now, everybody's definition of lucrative is different. Because, as we all know, the more money you have comes more responsibility. Now, some people don't want all that responsibility. Some people want massive wealth so they can do massive good. Some people want massive wealth to have that, like you said, define us as being a millionaire or define the trophy this or trophy that. And I do want to address something before I forget, because this is really important teaching our children. We're taught in our society to trust our gut reaction. And here's the thing with that. If you think about this, what do you feel in your stomach when you're nervous or you're in fear? You feel butterflies in your stomach, is what most people call it. I feel butterflies. I'm nervous. The actual intuition in your stomach is actually more based in fear. It's based from a flight or flee response versus the intuition in your heart is actually your true inner GPS, by the way, is your heart. Because your heart will never lie to you. You may feel a little tinge of sadness. You may feel a tinge of passion and elation. That's in your heart. It's a very different feeling than when people start feeling, well, I'm feeling nauseous. I want to throw up. I have butterflies. That literally is the unconscious stories coming up. It is the flight or flee response. That is fear intuition. That is not authentic, true intuition.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And a lot of people, aside from, like you said, being not able to define themselves. They define themselves by what they see or who they think. And again, we do pattern after role models, whatever those role. If you want to look like Snooki, hey, have at it. But I mean, there are better role models that you could look after. And we tend to choose easy role models. I mean, give a kid a choice. Most likely they'll go easy. And because it's, work is work. They don't like doing it hard work. Now, you brought up something earlier about work and play and how kids learn by playing. Well, if you like what you do in life, you are playing. You're not working. And that's a big difference. So again, the careers you choose aren't defined by the money those careers make, but they should be defined by whether you like it or not.
Absolutely. I so agree with that. And I really wish we teach our children from an early age on what the difference is when they are feeling funny feelings in their stomach, when they are, and literally teaching them what to actually connect with the heart and to know what that feels like, and to demystify those feelings of anger. And we don't teach our children how to feel anymore. They're just numb. We need to get back to core feelings. We need to get back to core values, core belief systems. And it's so vital to our society as a whole.
Well, for example, last week I was at a learning convention in Orlando. Spring break, downtown Disney, right across from our hotel. So we go over to the hotel. It was about 7:15 at night because the hotel was booked. We couldn't get any dinner reservations. So a whole group of about 7 or 8 of us who were working in a booth. And we get to downtown Disney, and we couldn't find the first place we went to, so we went to another one. Somebody came up with Planet Hollywood. We go over to Planet Hollywood. And I was thinking, what kind of Dante's Inferno is this? It's pitch black, crazy screens, blaring music. I mean, we couldn't hear each other. And it was a 50-minute wait inside, so we left. We went to another place called Café Paris, so a tad better, not much, but a tad. And finally, by about 10 o'clock at night, we had just gotten fed, and it got quiet because people were leaving. And then you could actually go, oh, my God, the noise barrage was so strong. And I was thinking, here are these idiot parents, 10 o'clock at night, taking your child to a restaurant that the noise levels are hurting adults. What are you thinking? This is what you're teaching your child to either like, be terrified of, or be very afraid of, whatever. What are you doing to that poor kid? Think about it. Those are imprints that we're putting on the kids. And the kids don't know what's going on. They just go, is this normal? I don't know. Let me cry. Because every one of them was screaming and crying.
Oh, talk about overstimulation. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting. We don't get that. When you take, especially infants are not meant to be around. Yes, people say play music, have vacuums going. You want them to be able to sleep through noise, okay? However, what type of noises are you exposing them to?
Right.
It's very different. And you and I had this conversation earlier. You just brought home 2 rescue dogs, mm-hmm. and they've been in a kennel. Yeah. And all they're hearing is barking, 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 barking. Me as a person walking into a kennel is a massively stressful environment.
It's loud. It's noisy.
Imagine dogs' ears being so sensitive, mm-hmm. what they're going through in the stress levels. It's no different than an infant or a young child. They're not fully developed to be able to handle all that multi-sensory, and it's not even multi-sensory in a way that's good. It's overwhelming. It's overstimulating. It's toxic.
Mm-hmm. It's a poison. And it's interesting because the people there are just like completely brain dead. You watch them, it's like, and you just go, why? 1, why did you reproduce? And 2, why are you doing this to your poor child? I mean, just basic common sense. If you're sitting there and you can't hear the person next to you and you're kind of cringing from the amount of noise, do you think your baby is having a good time and they're crying because they're hungry? No, they're not hungry. They're terrified. It's just insane. And you just go, okay. And you know what? They shouldn't even be in those places. Frankly, the bars and everything should say, no, kids don't belong here. I mean, you go to sports bars, and I see tons of kids, and I go, really, that's not where they belong.
No, and it's teaching them, you talk about teaching values. Taking your kid to a bar, people are drinking, and not necessarily that maybe you're not drunk, but other people that are drunk around them, what are you teaching them? It's okay to get drunk?
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay to, act stupid and scream and yell and jump up and down. And this goes back to who defines us. We need to find our own inner voices, and we need to choose what values we want to teach our children. And obviously, we can tell our children all we want. Don't eat this, don't do this, don't. They're not looking at that. They're looking at how you're behaving.
Right, exactly. You're patterning.
Yeah, exactly. If you're screaming at them and then you're telling them, don't talk to another child, or I love this one. A kid hits you, a little child smacks the parent. So what does the parent do? Smacks the child back. What are you teaching the child? It's like they hit you, you hit them back. Is that teaching them non-conflict, or that it's not really okay to hit people if they hit you and you smack them back?
Yeah. And you can't even legally chain them to addicts anymore. I don't know. What's this world coming to?
It's craziness.
That's a joke, by the way.
I mean, if you want to teach a child not to hit, don't hit the child.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many other ways of parenting that does not involve violence. Yeah. And here's the other problem, though. Timeouts don't work for everybody, and that's part of the problem. We treat problems like we have teachers and gurus all around the world, and I'm telling you right now, don't listen to anything I'm saying in terms of this is my personal views. Your views may be entirely different, and my parenting views or different ways may not work for you. And part of the problem as a society with the teachings and the gurus and even, shows like this is that people take whatever you and I were saying and they apply it to everything. And they don't get that what we're saying here may apply to one situation. It may not apply to another situation. We have to get out of the box of listening to everybody and taking the one little principle and thinking it applies to everything. It doesn't.
Right. And
one
for example,
child technique, timeouts may not work. You may need to use a different technique. There are thousands of techniques. You need to find the techniques that work for you and your family and your children.
Right.
And I mean anything.
And every kid is different. You can have 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids. Every one of them will have their own unique personality. I know one couple, they have twins. When they put them in timeout, one of them goes, "Cool, I'm all alone, it's quiet, I love this." He's thrilled. They put the girl in timeout, she's in torture mode. But it's interesting. They're both very different. So for one, maybe they're getting something out of it. The other one, this is great. Timeout is wonderful. Maybe I'll do something terrible tomorrow. I get timeout again. This is good. They're all different. You got to be a little bit alert and a little more observant of how your kids are. And you're right. Cookie cutters do not work with people.
And it's everything, though. It's not just, we're talking about, I love this one, weight loss industry, right? Mm-hmm. Follow this specific weight loss thing and it's going to work for you. Well, there's 3 different types of body types. They're different. Everybody's got a different metabolism. Everybody's got a different, if you will, internal clock. So there's so many other levels to this. And for us to be so naive to think that if I go online and find that perfect weight loss tool, I'm going to lose that 100 pounds just by doing that particular technique. There's so many layers to weight loss because it involves, and that's a whole nother show. But you know what I'm saying? We tend to, as a society, find one thing and think that's going to be the end all and be all to all of our problems, whether it be weight loss, whether it be parenting, whether it be anything, learning. We all learn differently. Some of us are massively visual. Some of us are massively auditory. They learn best through listening. And some of us really need to see it, and some of us really need to do it. So we really need to, that's why I keep on saying, get out of the box, get out of the mold, get out of who defines you, and find your own definition for you and your family.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And that takes undoing. We always talk about how many years do you get raised by parents. And most parents at least try to do a good job. Some don't. And then you've got to undo what you've learned in many cases to try to get back to a state of normalcy. What's normal? That's another good one. We should talk about that one day. What's normal?
And that is why, for me, it's like I have that one pick where I say, today is a new day. Tomorrow is a new day. Every day that you wake up, you have a choice to get out of the bed and put your foot on the ground and go, I'm tired, I'm cranky, and literally create your miserable day. Or get out of bed and I'm defining my new day. Define your new day. Every day is a new day to define your new day.
I feel defined. Actually, I am completely and totally defined by Carly. She tells me what to do, when to do, and how to do it. I obey. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Lord.
Lord.
Your wife would kill me.
No, she defines me too.
Yeah, Rick has his harem of co-hosts. They're all females. We have yet to see Rick with a male co-host.
I had one once. The only male co-host I had, he passed away. So I don't know what to say.
Lord.
He actually did. It was sad. But, I don't know why. We've got 5 shows, 5 female co-hosts.
You're just so popular. What can you say? I think it's because, one of the things I personally like about you is that you are very open-minded and you're very easy to flow with the conversation, and you have a brilliant mind to have diversified conversations. I've dealt with other co-hosts, and they're so used to dealing with one genre or one type that they literally are in the box. So it's really hard to have a conversation with them about spirituality, about energy fields, feng shui, conscious business. You can't have, that diversified conversation about anything from religion to sexuality to politics or whatever it is.
And it's funny, you and I met really from another show that we're doing, and that's Adele's show on conscious creation. And we started talking, and all of a sudden you said, I just put out an ad for a co-host. I didn't know that. We just happened to be talking. And I said, well, I could do that if you want. And so we talked, and that became this. So, pure coincidence. Talk about coincidence. Something attracted us to each other, and boom.
And I think it's that way, though. I mean, look at the circles when we did the social media show on Shrek Tech. And, you had just had Gina Carr and Terry Brock, and I already interviewed them last year. And then I came on your show, and then you had Bob Berg on the show. I mean, it is, if you think about it. And that's what people we're going to do one of our shows is going to be specifically about social media and the collaborative, interactional. We are all connected, if you will.
Yeah.
If you really, truly do look at social media, if you really, truly look out there, it's very interesting how we do find each other, how you and I found each other, how, and then you're like, oh, I'm so excited to meet, I really love Bob Berg. You were so excited to find that I didn't even interview him, yet alone then you finally get him on the show and you're even more excited, right? So we really need to be observant about who we're drawing into our lives, what our circles look like, and how to actually play in those circles, because those are your walking ambassadors. Yeah. And that's why you and I have talked continuously about the Go-Giver book, and Bob Berg talks about your walking ambassadors. What better, we do massive marketing and all these crazy things. What do you think is your better marketing tool? Having a zillion walking ambassadors out there talking about you.
Yeah.
And that usually starts, and as we know, one of my intros there is the intro is the ripple effect. We are the ripple effect. So if me and Rick are here and we talk to Adele, who, and then we're in other social media circles, and the ripples go out, and then they go talking about it, those are going to be people that are going to be our walking ambassadors for referrals. They're going to be people that are going to say, hey, you know what? I've worked with Adele. I've worked with Bob. I've worked with Terry. I've worked with Gina. Whoever it is that they've worked with, and those are going to be the people that are going to virally talk about you enough for you to generate your business to be able to do the passions that you love.
Yeah, it's actually beautiful. I have to say, it's a beautiful thing when things start falling into place naturally. You're not forcing it. You're not doing cold calls on 1 million people. It just sort of happens. And when it happens, it's a nice thing. It feels good. I mean, you really do feel good inside. You
do, and that is the positive ripple effect is by having these types of conversations. It's about having conversations with people that are brilliant people that you then go on to be friends with, who then go on to tell other people your message. And that's the beauty of social media, and why I always talk about what do your pages look like? Who are you friending?
Yeah. And all of these people don't define you.
No.
They don't try to define you. In fact, they want you to be you. That's the beauty of it all. When you find people that you really get along with and that you respect, you care about, you may want to emulate some of their behaviors, but they don't define you, nor would they want to define you. It's a nice
going
thing.
to that, which is so important to social media, I can't wait to do our show on social media. However, seriously, your pages, when we talked about we treat people, in other words, when people come to any of your social media platforms, what your pages look like, you're teaching people how to treat you. If your pages look, horrible, have jokes that are just not funny or actually bashing people or whatever, you're teaching people it's okay to post those things on your wall. So you're talking about who defines you, define you, and you define yourself in all areas of your life. And that includes how you portray yourself out, whether it be on stage, in your books, in your blog writing, and on your pages, all your social media. So if you want to define you, be clear on who you want others to know you as.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a really good point. And with that good point, guess what?
It's that time.
We are being defined by the music. It's time to say goodbye. Carly, as always, a pleasure. Always fun with Carly. You can't have a good time and not be with Carly. That's just the way it is. Hey, everyone, thanks for being there. We really appreciate it. And if you're watching the video, please subscribe and let us know what you think. We look forward to your comments. Bye, Carly.
Bye.